Well, hello there, my beautiful friends. Welcome to another video. So grateful that you're here. We're doing another budget eats. We love these. I love these, not only for my wallet, but it gets me creative in the kitchen. It makes me think. It makes me be more strategic with what I already have, and then fiddling around in the grocery store to find either deals or just think logically about what is a realistic price across the board all around the world. So lots of rice, lots of beans, lots of spices, but we're gonna, zest things up. I got a solid plan here in my notes app that we are going to accomplish over the next multiple days. However, I do have several things in my fridge already that I am going to utilize and not allow to go to waste. This is also roommate friendly because I split a fridge. So you don't need a lot for this type of video. I also have many things in my pantry, like, well, I already have rice, I already have beans. We're not purchasing these things today. We're basically going to the grocery store to get the basics like carrots and onions. Throughout the video, I'll let you know of any swap-ins or outs that you can do for all of the different recipes, and I'll let you know everything that I already have in the fridge in a hot minute after the grocery haul. This is gonna be a bit intense though. I'm leaving at the end of this week for 3 weeks, so I gotta use everything that I have in the fridge. We gotta be strategic here. We, as in me. Let's get out of the house and figure this thing out. Hopefully this goes somewhat according to plan.
She doesn't wear sunscreen, but she does wear hats. Yellow hats.
I think any budget recipe video requires meal prep. So this week I'm gonna do breakfast and lunch. And in breakfast, I'm gonna add 2 different protein sources. One classically being more budget friendly, and the other one being 40% off until May 14th. For protein powder, I've got Ritual's vanilla flavor in their essential protein. I'm gonna add a 1/4 cup to my breakfast recipe. And I'd also like to say a big thank you to Ritual for sponsoring today's video. I am a classic vanilla lover when it comes to protein powder. This one is simple and kind of smells like marshmallows, and it is a complete amino acid blend with 20 grams of protein in it, and it's plant-based. I also really appreciate that the company puts it through rigorous third-party testing for heavy metals and microbes. Plus, an extra bonus is that it is in partnership with Informed Sport, which means it is cleared for 250 plus banned substances in sport. I also really love their stress relief blend. This has honestly been kind of like my favorite thing. I took it with me while traveling. I put it in my carry-on bag. I'm taking it in the airport after 38 hours of travel. You need all of the cortisol help that your body can get. And it's designed to target cortisol responses with its first-of-a-kind bioseries technology, which gives it an instant and extended 8-hour relief. We love that. So take advantage of their 40% off site-wide sale going on right now for Mother's Day. You can click the link down in the description box or head to ritual.com/JuliaAirs40 and get 40% off of these great products, plus many other products that they have available. Thank you so much, Ritual, for sponsoring a portion of today's video. Hello again. Let's dive into the grocery haul. Got 2 different types of pasta, which 100% not going to use all of this week. It was just way more cost efficient to buy 2 things of pasta because I paid barely more for 2 than I would have one, and we're on a budget. So think long term, it's smarter. I got some oats, 3 tomatoes, 2 little onions, 2 sweet potatoes, whatever type of sweet potato is the most cost efficient. It does not have to be white flesh. The yellow flesh, or orange flesh I should say, is more affordable. Get those. I got some carrots. I really don't like buying bags of carrots, I'm not gonna lie, but here we are. A massive lemon. Kale, I know. Trust me, I know. If you live in the United States or Canada or Europe, this is sometimes gold. But for some reason here in South Africa, it is very, very, very affordable. So whatever, well, in context to other greens, like compared to spinach or romaine lettuce, this is like sometimes a quarter the price. I am gonna be mostly cooking this, so spinach or Swiss chard even, some sort of green that you can add into soups or pasta or just cook would be ideal. It could be broccoli even. I got a thing of tomato paste, some bananas. They didn't have to look that hot because we're gonna mash them and use them for breakfast and then just have a couple for snacks. And then an entire chicken, but I am splitting this with my roommate, so it's gonna be half of the cost. Oh, and a milk, which is totally irrelevant to this grocery haul. I literally just use it for teas and coffee. Getting into what I already have in the house. I have 2 sad little potatoes that need to be cooked. I have a little bit of smoked salmon, which is in a yogurt container right now, but I have this tiny little bit that I'm going to put in some sort of bowl situation. Totally irrelevant, just need to use it. I do have quite a bit of feta cheese, so add some sort of cheese into this mixture. It doesn't have to be feta, this is just what I already had. I have maybe 1/3 cup of yogurt, half of a tin of tomatoes, 1 red onion, 2 heads of garlic, some red onions, which technically I don't have to finish before I go, but like there's not that many left, so I might as well, and about half of a green cabbage. Oh, and half of the lemon. This is the grocery haul. This is what we're working with this week. I'm obviously not including oil and spices, salt, pepper, all of that jazz. However, we're not gonna get insanely technical with those things. We are gonna season well, and we are gonna make things oh, I have a little bit of, I just realized my hand's sitting on it, sauerkraut. And we're gonna make a little bit of extra sauerkraut, a small batch of it, because it is delicious and just a must in my vocabulary diet, what do I call this, in my life, it's just a needed thing in my life. All right, and that's everything, guys, so let's prep. I'm gonna make a so boring, but hey, it works. We're gonna make a quote-unquote carrot cake overnight oats situation. I'm gonna use the rest of the yogurt on top every single day, and then also going to add, you have 2 options here. Either add protein powder that you already have in the house, vanilla flavored or plain, and add vanilla to the carrot stuff, or you can add red split lentils. I know it seems a little weird to add into oats, but I've done this before and it doesn't taste like anything. It doesn't mess up the taste or texture. If you cook them into a mush, then it's just a mush. The overnight oats are already gonna be mush, so you're just eating a mushy thingy majigger, and it's gonna taste great because we're gonna season the carrots well with spices. All right, I'm gonna clean this mess up and get into some prep. Starting off by grating 3 carrots. You can swap out the carrot for apple, but I just find by one thing, carrots are more versatile. I can put carrots in more recipes than I can put apples. So adding a scoop of coconut oil to a small pot. Once the coconut oil is melted, add our carrot. You could 100% do raw, to each their own. Let's fix this angle here. I add a bit of turmeric, but to each their own, this is so optional. Star anise, a couple cloves, and a good sprinkle of cinnamon. I'm gonna sprinkle in the tiniest little bit of salt. I know, strange, but just a little cracked black pepper. And now, in a large jar, we're gonna add our oats. I'm gonna make screw it, let's go 4 days. I'm gonna get so sick of this after 4 days. So about half of a cup a day of quick oats. 4 bananas to go along with it. This is going to carry a lot of our sweetness, but of course you can add honey or sugar to this as well if you'd like. Or if you're using protein powder, oh, that lentils! If you're using protein powder, there's gonna be sweetness in that as well if it's sweetened. I did too many chaturangas this morning. My arm is killing me doing this. I look like somebody that would do too many chaturangas, don't I? I do. Let's be real. LOL. I think I need a bigger container. Use whatever milk you have on hand or none at all and just replace this with water just for a little extra creaminess. I thought it would be delicious. You can also swap it out for yogurt. Add that carrot. Now in the same pot, I'm going to boil half of a cup of red split lentils. Guys, I didn't hit record. I added my mushy lentils and mixed it all in, and now I'm going to cover and stick her in the fridge. Oh, I wish I didn't mess that up because I wanted you guys to see like how mushy they really are. Like, they're mush, and you have to use a strainer, a fine mesh strainer to strain them, or you will lose all of them. All right, this is probably breakfast for more than 4 days, but we're happy.
Hello, hello. Voiceover Julia, finally here. Let's make sauerkraut for the jillionth time on my channel. It is just so easy and delicious, and just do it, my friends. If you haven't already, I highly recommend it because sauerkraut in the grocery store is way too expensive, and you can make it at home for literally nothing. 1 carrot worth of money and a bit of cabbage. Massaging that with salt until you get lots of juice coming out of everything. Shove it into a jar, and then just to keep everything packed down, throw some cabbage leaves on top, set that aside on your counter for a few days, and there you go, sauerkraut. I'm now gonna cook up some beans, 1 cup of black beans into a pot with lots of water on low heat. I'm gonna spice things up a little bit. 1 tablespoon worth of coriander seed, 2 teaspoons of cumin seed, about 1/4 teaspoon of thyme, 1 teaspoon worth of black pepper, and chili to taste. Season with salt, a lot of it, and add a few cloves of garlic as well. Cover it with a lid and let it do its thing.
So for a quick lunch, I'm gonna peruse my fridge and just eat a bunch of random little like leftovers and things. So I got some leftover rice. I'm going to use that smoked salmon. Honestly, I'm just gonna use the rest of it so that way I don't have to think about it. Maybe there's a lot. It's fine. Sauerkraut. The last little remnants of my previous batch. And I made this sauce last night, which is honey, lemon juice, my homemade hot sauce, and that's it, actually. And it's so good. Pickled red onion for that color. I'm gonna do a little spoonful of mayo. I could make an egg for this, but I'm not going to. I do have eggs that I actually need to use, but I know most of my viewers, you're in the United States, not all by any means, but eggs are like hella expensive. So I've heard in the United States right now, and I don't want to like have the comments being like, this isn't budget friendly because eggs cost $1 jillion here, they're literal gold. So, a little lunch moment.
Monday morning blues. I open my eyes and I'm greeted by a cute little smile. The world is new.
It has like nothing in the budget haul, but great bowl.
We're gonna be making a lunch that's gonna last us the entire week. This just made my life so much easier, and it used so many ingredients from the budget haul. So we've got one of those potatoes in there, which I ended up having 1 potato left over, half of an onion, and lots of garlic. Everyone has their garlic preference. I go all in when it comes to garlic, like 7 cloves were in here. 1 of the tomatoes, half of the can of tomato sauce. Feel free to replace that with just another fresh tomato. also a tablespoon worth of tomato paste, lots of fresh kale, stalks included, and our green cabbage. So we're just shoving all of that into a large pot that we're just gonna stick on the stove. You can 100% do this in the oven, but if we're gonna be on a budget, we might as well recognize heating up the entire oven for one pot is just not efficient. I added 1 cup of rice to the mixture, rinsing it until the water ran clear, adding it to the pot along with a cup of water. We're gonna do 2 cups in total, but I'm gonna realize 1 cup is not enough in a hot second. Lots of salt, a teaspoon of chipotle, half a teaspoon of chili, 2 teaspoons worth of oregano, and I thought, why not, because I have it in the house, a teaspoon and a half of tagine. You can get more fancy with this by adding coriander and cumin seed. I drizzled a good amount of oil into the mixture and then tried my best to mix that up. And if you buy carrots with the tops, chop up a handful of the tops of the carrot. I know this may sound weird, but the tops of carrot has this carrot, celery, parsley flavor and are completely edible. So give them a good wash, cut them up finely, and then throw them in this dish as well. I threw the previously cooked black beans into the mixture, saving a little bit. I don't know why I did 100% just throw all of the black beans in here, because I ended up just adding the black beans on top of my bowl throughout the week. And there we go. I had a small bowl right after making it just to taste the flavors, but I ate 2 more for my actual dinner.
It may not be the most aesthetically looking dish you've ever seen, but the flavors are really delicious, and it is spicy, but I like spicy, so definitely tone down the spice if you're not into that. And such random, like, cabbage and tops of carrots, like, you can use anything and make something delicious.
For the chicken, I did something silly again and forgot to hit record. It's just such bad YouTuber etiquette of me. My roommate chopped the chicken in half because she got at it faster than I could. I then threw it into a pot along with half of a lemon that I just sliced, half of an onion, about 5 cloves of garlic, a tablespoon worth of dried parsley, some bay leaves, a good drizzle of olive oil, and about 3/4 a cup of water. Added the lid on top and put it on medium heat for about 45 minutes on the stove. And now, the next day, after so much meal prep, we are ready to go. We're ready to be fueled for the rest of the week. What's for breakfast, you might ask? Well, this. Yeah, this.
You can't do this without the bananas. The bananas make it. Like, the carrot is subtly there, and obviously the spices are there, but the banana just adds that layer of, like, sweetness and depth that this would suck otherwise. I'm, like, not a fan of oats, so I'm trying to be, like, so honest here. Like, oats, not my thing. But if she has to, she has to. It's one of those situations. And because we ran out of matcha not too long ago, we're back on our coffee addiction. Which I find, as long as I eat something first and don't drink coffee, like, immediately when I wake up, it doesn't really affect me that strongly. So that's just how I figured out the cookie crumbled for me.
So I just want to note for all of the girlies out here that are a little self-conscious about themselves and the bodies and their food intake, I am not showing the exact amount of what I'm eating here every single day. The intention of this video is to show budget-friendly recipes, not to show you everything that I eat in a week, if that makes sense. With that being said, I had many snacks throughout the week that I didn't show because really they were in my cupboards. I was busy planning to go away for 3 weeks, and I just had a lot on my plate. But I enjoyed my lunch rice and beans moment with lots of feta, and now let's get into dinner.
Gonna make a super simple cabbage little slaw, and I'm gonna add some feta. 100% you do not need to add feta, and if you don't have a cheese that makes sense for this, don't do it. But I think just because I have so much feta to use over the next, like, several days, I'm gonna throw some in this. And then we're gonna do lemon juice and Dijon mustard. There's no need to add the Dijon mustard, but if you have it, obviously that depth of flavor is gonna be really, really nice. So optional, but if you just season it well with a good amount of salt and adding a little bit of sugar just to kind of round out the acidity of the lemon, I think it'll be beautiful. Ooh, carrot. Bippity boppity boop. You can grate it or just slice it really, really finely or use a mandolin, but those are dangerous. They're dangerous. Cabbage is such a good investment. Wash your veggies, kids. And dry.
And because sometimes I'm a bad YouTuber, I forgot to charge all of my camera batteries, so this footage is from my phone, but I put some lemon chicken on my plate along with my slaw. You can 100% make rice for this. That would be delicious. I honestly just could not be bothered. Or whatever grain you've got in the house, whether that's quinoa or even some orzo could be delicious.
Yay! For the actual yay.
And because I had eggs in my fridge that I needed to use, I ended up just giving them to my roommate at the end of the day because I did not have the time to eat them, and I didn't want to include them in today's video for reasons already mentioned, but I added one to this lunch dish along with my sauerkraut. For a little extra protein in this lunch dish, you can 100% add some sort of meat situation, whether that's beef or chicken, or if you want to keep it plant-based, then add a good cup of lentils. Or if you can, add an egg on top.
Let's make a soup.
For this delicious white bean soup, I had already been cooking my white beans literally in just water for the last hour, and then realized I had chicken bones. So I put the chicken bones in with the beans to finish cooking. We got all of the goodness sucked out of those chicken bones and into that broth. And now we are chopping our veggies. Half of an onion, those 2 sad potatoes that really needed to be used, the rest of those carrot tops. Opt that out or sub it for some kale or other green, or parsley if you have it. Mincing up several cloves of garlic, I think I did about 7, and then zested half of a lemon. Got my onion, carrot, and carrot tops into a pot on low heat with some olive oil, and then once they had a good little translucent, starting to brown situation going on, I added my potatoes and garlic, seasoned that well with salt, and then after 1 minute of just allowing that to get fragrant, I added my broth. So that was literally just the juice from cooking the beans and the chicken bones. I'm gonna top it up with some more water in a hot second, added some black pepper, some dried parsley, a good pinch of dried thyme, about a teaspoon worth of oregano, and to get that extra lemon flavor, add lemon zest. Ooh, it is just my favorite. And because I was distracted by company, I wasn't thinking, I forgot to add a good amount of the chicken and my beans back into the soup before I started serving it, so I just added a bit to each bowl that I'd already started to plate and then mixed the rest in with the large batch of soup. However, I did save some chicken for tomorrow night's dinner. And because I had to zest this one up, come on guys, I added some peanut butter. Diving into our lunch, I added some more beans to this mixture as you see on top, warmed it up, and then added my feta and some sauerkraut. Ooh, being able to just pull your lunch out of the fridge and top it with a couple fresh things just feels so good. This was such a big batch of food that I made that I was able to have 2 bowls of it pretty much every single day. I definitely was not going hungry. Let's just say that. Getting into dinner, I was at a friend's house and brought all of my ingredients with me. I chopped up a large amount of cabbage, using the rest of it actually, as well as kale. I did end up having some kale left over at the end of this week. Lots of garlic, a tomato, and the stalks of the kale as well. So now that we got all of that chopped up, let's start cooking, adding some oil to a pan along with our onion. And once they have a nice little brown, I added the tomato and kale stalks, seasoned that with salt, and allowed the tomato to get nice and a little mushy before adding the cabbage and a little splash of water. I had some water starting to boil, added my salt and almost an entire package of pasta. This fed 2 hungry people, plus having another amount to eat for the next day. Seasoned my veggie mixture again with some salt, added some pepper this time, my garlic, about a teaspoon worth of basil, and a teaspoon worth of oregano. Gave that a good mix and then allowed that to get nice and fragrant for about a minute before adding 2 tablespoons worth of balsamic vinegar and my kale, half of a lemon's zest because it is so good. Reduced the heat even lower, added some pasta water to it, half of a lemon's juice. Because I had massive lemons, however, feel free to add an entire small lemon's juice to this, and then lots of feta cheese. The last remnants of that chicken. For more protein in this meal, 100% add some white beans. That would be fantastic. When I originally thought of this recipe, that was the intention for it. It was supposed to be a white bean pasta, but then I realized I really had to use this chicken, and I did not feel like making more beans. And I put them all in the soup, not thinking. Nonetheless, we ended up with a really delicious, flavorful pasta. I used to be a stringy pasta girl like fettuccine or spaghetti, but I have recently changed my mind and realized that these little shell pastas just carry the flavor and the ingredients so much better into my face hole. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed today's video. I love you, I appreciate you, and I hope to see you again so very soon. Lots of love, my friends. Mwah!